find me in the spot where the floppies be. Till I give it a read, keep it crisp in the sleeve. Every Tuesday night feels like Christmas Eve. Living between Wednesdays.
What's up, folks? I'm your host, Konrad, on Wednesday Night Reviews, and today I'm joined once again by Dalton and Wells. This time we're going to talk about their Kickstarter live now for The Depths. So Dalton, Wells, thanks for coming on.
Oh yeah, thanks for having us. I can't tell if Wells is doing a bit or if he's actually frozen. I kind of hope it. I kind of hope it's the second.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Live? No, I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Feeling very good, very excited to have you back on. Just like last time, we'll start the same way for the folks that perhaps have never seen your faces, never heard your names.
How dare they?
Yeah, exactly. Who are Dalton Shannon and Wells Thompson?
Well, I am Dalton, thankfully, and comic writer, co-writer of Mechaton and Frankenstein the Unconquered and Descent into Dread, and most recently Depths, that's running on Kickstarter as we speak. Living up in Green Bay and making funny books. That's basically all I do is comic books. So there you go.
I dig it. And Wells, who are you?
My name is Dalton Shannon.
No, that's me. I told you it was me.
Hold on, we got the wires crossed. Let's mix them up.
My name is Wells Thompson. I'm a comic book writer co-writer with Dalton Shannon on Mechaton, Frankenstein the Unconquered, Depths, which is currently running on Kickstarter, as well as a handful of short stories that have made it into some anthologies like By Visibility 1 and 2, and From the Static from Band of Bards.
Beauty.
Yeah. Other than that, we're Southerners, born and raised, and then moved up to the Midwest, both of us, and we're just trying to make our way in this world, in this indie comic landscape.
This big scary world.
Well, I think you're both doing pretty good.
Thank you for lying.
There's no lie there. The previous stuff you've done, such as Frankenstein Unconquered, which I have many
1 and 2, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Signed, because he's a true fan.
That's true. That's true.
On its way to me is Mechaton. I think you guys did the
Mechaton 4 and 5. Yeah, we Mechaton 4 we just got the letters back for, so we're doing some edits on that, and then we'll have that out digitally for all of our backers. Yeah.
Jesus, so you guys are flying through, and now, as mentioned, we're talking about Depths. You know what? What is Depths? Give me the quick rundown.
Oh, yeah. Depths is about a man named Emil Parker in the 1930s. He invents a perpetual diving suit that allows him to stay underwater forever, essentially. And unfortunately, that happens because he gets lost and is like stuck under the ocean for like 3 years. And so the story is about him trying to survive and get home. It's as Wells likes to say, it's The Martian meets 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So it's a story about grief, depression, anxiety, survival, and also there's a squid and an octopus. So for all you freaks out there.
So, okay, one important question, because I remember as a kid, I think I saw the animated film for 20,000 Leagues. The creature that Emil Parker's going to run into, or creatures, they're not like aliens or weird monsters. They're actually real creatures. They might be
in the
bigger
sense
than
that
normal.
in the sense that they live under the ocean, and everything that lives under the ocean is weird, like creatures that shouldn't exist. But no, they're all based on things that are real. They're all we did probably too much research on on like real stuff that lives under the ocean and what that biome is like, what the survivable like range is for like how deep you can go before you just get flattened like a pancake. So every part of because like one of the things that was fascinating is like the ocean is a place explicitly where we don't belong. So like everything can go wrong in this scenario. And so that kept on presenting opportunities for us to be like, oh, here's a cool thing that could happen to that's like a problem that Emil has to solve to survive down here. There's no shortage of, we didn't have to do a lot of making stuff up in terms of like the actual environment and the monsters that he creates, because they're all real and they're all terrifying.
Yeah. In every way, this is our most grounded work. Like it's the diving suit's the most ridiculous thing, and even that, it's like, okay, that maybe, who knows?
It could like we've run it through. I think the most ridiculous thing about it is the fact that he can eat using it. Like he basically just grinds up fish and it like feeds it to him as a paste.
It's not good.
It's like that, and there's some like minutia with like nitrogen poisoning that we can't address because that's just like, it's not solvable.
Yeah. Stop thinking about that. Like when you're thinking that far, it's like, okay, let's just go.
Let's just have a cool story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, it's called, okay, go join NASA or go join some deep sea crew and actually just work for them.
Go make the suit. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. So, I mean, in a very real way, then, this is like The Martian. So for the folks out there who probably saw the movie more than likely or read the book and loved the realism and the science behind how, I forget the character's name, but how Matt Damon survived.
It's just Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Yeah. They're going to like the depths in the way that Emil has to figure out not getting crushed, maintaining integrity in his suit, eating fish paste for 3 years.
Yeah, the oral hygiene's just gone.
Oh God, think how nasty your teeth would be after that. So, does the entirety of the book take place from like him getting into the water to him leaving? Does he leave the water at the end of the book?
Well, spoilers, but
fair. Well, the first draft, there's definitely a version of the story where as soon as Emil hits the water, so does the reader, and
that's where we stay forever.
And we stay forever until Emil comes back. Hypothetically speaking, of course.
In this version, we wanted to tell a really big story, and part of that meant that like if we just were staying with Emil the entire time. Anytime you like have a story where it's just focused on one character, you really run the risk of like dragging the pacing into the ground, getting into really mundane details.
It just
that
wasn't
are not
working.
Yeah, so we go back and forth between underwater with Emil and then on the surface where his friends are still trying to keep the search alive for him and trying to figure out where he is and how to bring him back, which is its own titanic, struggle. Yeah. The puns come so naturally for this book. I hate it.
So I guess when earlier you mentioned the book is about mental health, depression. I imagine, given his circumstance, Emil will feel a great deal of anxiety. But it's not only him that we're going to see that kind of stuff with. It's his friends, his family on the surface, trying to figure out how do we get him back? Where the hell even is he?
Yeah.
Can he survive?
Are we, people being like, you're in denial, he's gone, and just trying to like grieve and move on while someone else is sitting there going, no, I know he's alive, he's down there. It's all of it. It's we get a really comprehensive spectrum of trying to live with grief and with loss and with just general like that kind of weight on your shoulders. So from Emil down there who's experiencing in the day-to-day to more metaphorically James who's looking for him, who's in a much more manic state of like, I have to find my friend, but also my life is falling apart because of it. It's all of it.
So your previous works, like I said, Mechaton is a very bright, ecstatic, crazy, fun adventure. Frankenstein the Unconquered, while not bright and cheery, it has a
metal as hell.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's hardcore. It's glory, valor, and then we are dealing with a little bit of mental health stuff. This one feels much more, grounded, thoughtful, introspective. What inspired it? Are you guys okay? What's going on?
First of all,
when I wrote it,
I was gonna say no is the answer. No. I mean, in all honesty, this is my wheelhouse. Like this is where I live 100%. This is the stuff that I was writing before I started partnering with Dalton, was the more introspective, heavy subjects, magical realist, I would say. So it's mostly grounded with like maybe one or two fantastical elements, but it's not like, massive post-apocalypses or mecha anime or anything like that, which was the departure for me. This is very much my comfort zone of just like starting with a central theme and thesis and sort of building a story around it that isn't afraid to kind of dig into those heavy emotions.
Yeah, which is why it was weird that I was the one who had to bring this to Wells.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, wait, no, Dalton, no, you're the fun one. Stop this. Stop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do tell.
Oh, yeah, it was right after college, living by myself for the first time in a tiny 1-bedroom. And I just didn't have any contact with friends or family for a long time. And I didn't have a lot of direction, that was probably, and this comes from a very privileged perspective, I'm aware, but it was the first time I ever really had to deal with like a massive amount of anxiety and depression as a human being. I always had a great support system growing up, and then they were gone. And so I couldn't wrap my head around it. And in a massive depressive funk, I like wrote the first draft of the first issue over like 2 days, and it just kind of like spilled out. And then I couldn't figure out what else to do with it. I knew something was there, but it wasn't clicking. That was the first draft where we were underwater the whole time, and it just wasn't working. And so I just met up with Wells at some point. I mean, we just decided to meet up over drinks, and I pitched the idea to him, and he was like,
I want that.
I can do something with that.
I was like, look, if you're not going to do it, because originally he had brought it up in like we had gotten together with some friends to try and make like a workshop essentially where we all workshop each other's stuff, and that fell apart eventually. But yeah, we went to go out with drinks, and I was like, that story that you brought up, Depths. Yeah, are you going to do anything with that? And he's like, I can't figure it out. I don't know. And I was like, give it to me. I can make it work. And then I wrote it as a film script. That was a little all over the place, but it was like, it was all there. Like what you see in the final product is like the basic gist of the plot.
That first draft is pretty much unchanged from the
second. Second draft.
Well, no, I'm saying the first draft of the first issue is mostly intact.
Oh yeah.
And as most of our first issues actually end up being, it's just everything after issue 1 that tends to just like twist and convolute. And
yeah. We have been hammering this story for we worked on the script for like 2 years, and then we had to kind of shelve it because going to Kickstarter with a $20,000 idea
for your
first thing, that's not viable. Like maybe if your name is Brian Sanderson, but like we weren't there. So we started working on smaller, scale stuff, started working on Mechaton, Frankenstein the Unconquered, and started to get an audience here and there. And now it feels like the right time to bust it out.
I dig it. And that is definitely something I wanted to bring up. So the goal in the campaign, I am to your north. So in Canadian funds, it's like $27,223. Weird, sure. But it's 20,000 US, right?
Yes.
With Frankenstein, with Mechaton, I think your goals were sub 5,000 or at 5,000.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah. 5 is generally what it takes to produce like
a 20-page issue.
20 to 22-page issue, yeah.
Okay, so then I guess that kind of answers my question, which is why the $20,000 mark? Is that just purely because it's 112 pages?
Yes.
Yeah. You're paying for the art, you're paying for the printing, like they're big books.
Yeah.
And not only for the paperbacks, but we're doing hardcovers as well. So like we're making this like a prestige thing, and prestige means higher goals to reach. Yeah, it's not like Depths was originally, at least for me, was envisioned as like a 7-issue miniseries that would come out as floppies. But the Kickstarter market is not built for a 7-issue series that's super character driven and introspective and literary. Like people aren't going to show up for each one of those every campaign. So it made more sense to start packaging it as graphic novels. That's what this book 1 is. It's the first half of Depths, and then we'll be back with number 2 with the finale and everything. But yeah, it just made more sense to package it. People want to read a more complete work, and that's the chapters are still intact, of course, but you've got a nice chunk of story here.
I think it's pretty self-contained. Like this first half feels like a completed first half of like a completed story in its own right with like a really killer cliffhanger, essentially.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be phenomenal. People are going to love it. But yeah,
We're biased.
Obviously, it's your baby, but you should be biased. But also, I agree with so far everything you said about, you know, launching into a $20,000 campaign right off the bat. Probably not going to work. I've seen a couple of them pop up and like they get a little backing or nothing at all. And it's like, okay, but you've taken the time, you've put out some great product, you get sort of built that audience, people know your work, and now you're going for it. And I mean, I guess technically this is what, day 3?
This is
day 3.
End. No, it's the end of day 2. Really.
So we
launched.
We launched on Monday. It is now Wednesday. We're day 3.
We launched at 6:15 on Monday. It is 4:20 on Wednesday. It's the end of day 2. It's the end of 48 hours, which means.
Can you guess who the numbers guy is in the group?
Yeah. So in 2 days, then in less than 48 hours, you've raised. Again, I see the Canadian figures because I'm Canada, but $5,610.
I was going to say that makes me feel much better about the number when it's elevated like that in Canadian. Yeah, $4,122 US out of a $20,000 goal.
So you're more than 20% of the way there in less than 48 hours. That's fabulous. So that we can get more people to back it, to buy it. My favorite question, again, some people, they've never done Kickstarter before. Some people, you know, they're afraid, I won't get my book or this, that, and the other. So long as they pledge and it gets met, at that time their funds are collected. But what can they pledge for? What's the sort of minimum buy-in, and what's like a crazy high-end one that you guys are offering?
The minimum buy-in is chapter 1. So you just get the first, like when we get done with the first issue, we'll send that out to everybody.
28 pages.
28, yeah. You get 28 pages, first chapter, $10, digitally, which is really, it's there to be like, hey, if you can't afford the other stuff, you know, and you want to support it, you still get a little something. For $20, you get the whole thing. You get the whole thing digitally. For $30, the physical copy, and then there are some variant covers. As a hardcover, which is my preferred right now. For the $50 hardcover with Heather Vaughn's artwork is incredible.
It's beautiful.
And if you were on the what is it, For Goodness Sake Kickstarter by Kaylin Smith, if you got that book, it's the same printing company that printed her book, so I already know it's going to look incredible. That said, crazy high stuff, get yourself drawn into the book. We have we have multiple tiers for drawing yourself in as a background character, drawing yourself in as a background character with a line of dialogue, and then 3 slots available for being a minor character with like a whole scene or 2 scenes featuring you as a character in the book.
Nice.
Yeah. I
dig it. I think to me that's like the coolest one. To get drawn into a book somewhere, it's the coolest thing.
For sure.
I like too that you have different versions. Like, so for I'll say the US figure and then give the Canadian figure. So your level called Draw Me In, which is 300 US, it's 407 Canadian.
Sure.
Which again gets you the digital copy of Depths, I'm going to say this wrong, and I am sorry, so correct me. The Jay Chic
cover?
Yeah.
And I will have the images up. The Jay Chic cover, is that the one where we see Emil in the glass? Is that the one where he's cool?
That's the champagne glass.
That's the A cover.
Yeah. That's a cool cover.
Yeah, all the covers I really love, and I sort of debated which one was going to be the A, which one was going to be the variants, because they're all great. But
like, it's really interesting too, though, because the 2 covers you have, well, there's 3, but the 2 paperback covers.
So
there's the one with the champagne glass, which sort of visually shows like, there's still that tie to, you know, up above the more wealthy folks who probably originally funded Emil in his journey and are going to try and find him. You've then got the cover, which I'm guessing is the Serge Acuna cover, where it's a giant monster, which shows this giant octopus kraken-esque creature, squid, pulling him down. And then there's the third cover, the hardcore cover from Heather,
Mhm.
which is super cool. It's sort of conceptual drawing looking. It's got some wavy art to it. It just looks creepy.
Sort of psychedelic and yeah.
I need it as a blacklight poster.
Oh no!
Gives you to me it like gives you a sense of like his headspace of just how I look at that and I feel trapped and that was what I loved about it.
That's so cool. So again, for the 300 US, you get those 3 covers. You get the hardcover. You're drawn in as a background character. You get the digital catalog, which I'm assuming is like digital copies of Frankenstein, Mechaton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all of that. Yeah, 5 copies of Mechaton, 2 your 1 and 2 of Frankenstein the Unconquered. Basically everything that we have up to this point that we made on Kickstarter.
Damn. That's awesome. And then so that's the Drawn Me In, and then you have the bump up, which is 600. Where you are an extra with a line, where you get all of that, and then you as a character says something super cool. I guess my question is, because I've seen this done a few times, I've taken advantage of it once or twice. What kind of planning goes into offering that? Like, do you have to be like, hey, this one character, we have to leave him blank or her blank until, we get a reference photo from this person? Like,
well, at the moment, we haven't we haven't drawn past what's on the screen or what's on the thing. So like we're able to change some stuff. We're able to fit people in, put more emphasis on background characters if we need to. For the ones with the line, if you're just reading the script, it's not necessarily obvious where they would fit in. But I read through the entire thing and identified like, okay, here's. Someone could shout something here. Someone could say something to James or something like that as he passes by. So there are little places where I'm like, okay, some background character, some draw me in character could fit here. And then for the minor characters, we went through and looked at the actual minor characters we had already created and been like, okay, this guy shows up in this scene and like one other a little bit later in the comic as like a brief appearance. That could be a whole minor character. Et cetera. And we found 2, I'll say male-bodied people, or male-bodied characters that could do that, and 1 female-bodied character that can fit that description. So it was really just working with the material that we had. We didn't want to like shape the book around trying to fit this stuff in, but yeah, we are willing to put in a little bit of legwork to make people feel like they're involved in the comic.
That's super cool. Then I guess we sort of covered the cost of it. Obviously, links down below for the folks. If you're already bought in, if the idea of a seafaring explorer with an infinite oxygen and self-feeding with fish vessel is into you, and you're going to like the idea of the isolation story, links down below. Back it. Minimum $10 get you the first 28. $20 get you basically the digital copy of the whole thing. $50 is the ideal. Because that's the hardcover, and then hey, go nuts after that and get drawn into the book. That's awesome.
The ideal's the everything. That way you can get all the covers. You get the Descent into Dread. You get the cool Douglas sticker and button, like
enamel pin. Yeah, we get the plus the project image is a print that we're selling in 2 sizes, comic book size and 11x17 if you want it framed. And they're drawn by Tina Isola, who's a friend of ours from Nashville.
Nice.
Just an insanely talented artist. So yeah, I always love the everything tiers. It comes with like a built-in discount, and you get just so much from it. So
beauty, and that's $150 for the everything tier, $150 US. Canadian's probably $180-ish. What is up with the Douglas sticker and or pin? Because, like, the book is such... it looks very serious from the art on the pages. It's dark. It's spooky. And then we've got Douglas, who just looks so happy to be here.
Yeah, that's very intentional. The book is super heavy. And sometimes it takes itself very seriously. But there is a character in the book called Douglas. He's an octopus. He's basically a golden retriever in an octopus body, who's like Emil's best friend under the water. So it's very boy and his dog. And Douglas is just a normal octopus. He doesn't have glasses or braces or whatever. Like he just kind of bloops around and then eats whatever Emil brings home. But he's a companion, and there's a lot of moments of levity there where, if not just like outright humor, it'll make you smile because it's nice to see a real connection with something there, and so we kind of wanted to, show that side of the book by having Fernando Pinto, who draws Mechaton, do a rendition of Douglas that's just unabashedly fun, and have that as a pin, and it'll make your day.
Yeah,
like, get it as a tattoo as well. Like I encourage it. Like Douglas believes in you, so there's no reason you can't.
Amen.
That's so cute. Then to get back into the sort of the tense, the realism, I wanted to ask Dalton, when you started writing this, the first time you were on your own, sort of in a 1-bedroom apartment, when you were writing it, what inspired you to write it? What feelings were you going through that sort of made Depths, as it started, become a reality?
All the bad ones.
Yeah, all the bad ones. No, it was it was mostly the isolation that was spurring on a lot of it. I've always had a tight family unit. I've always had a tight friend group. So I always had somebody to talk to and bounce things off of until that point. So then I was just kind of like, oh, I'm just alone all the time. Like I was watching Star Trek Enterprise, for God's sake. It was a dark time. Like, but so that kind of spurred the emotional bits. But I think what inspired like the setting and the diving suit and like all the trappings around it is I just really love like 1930s adventure serial stuff. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite movie. Mm-hmm. So I love all that Indiana Jones stuff. I love the visual of the diving suit. I think around that time I had seen like a vinyl cover, and it was like this diving suit coming out of the water holding somebody. And I was like, that is so cool. Like just the image of the diving suit. And so like the very first image of Depths was that it's on the preview page of Emil coming out of the darkness in the diving suit. And I was like, okay, well, what's the story here? And then like Wells and I have done this many, many times where I will like, I have no knowledge of what I'm doing. I just write it down in a savant-like fashion, and I'm like, all right, here it is. And then Wells is like, oh, dude, are you okay? Like, this is obviously about your depression. And I'm like, I guess I am depressed, huh? All right, so the book's about that. Wow, no, I'm good. And yeah, so it I don't even know how like conscious it was when I was writing it. It was just me journaling more or less in the guise of a comic book.
I'll never forget the first time you did that. It was Frankenstein the Unconquered. You brought me like the first issue, and I was like, okay, but I don't get it. Like, what is this? Like, okay, so Frankenstein is cool. Like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, he's cool, and he does this and this. And like, I just like forced him to talk it out, and I went, oh, so it's about toxic masculinity. And he went, yeah, sure, yeah, sure, yeah,
cool.
And I was like, okay, that's something I can work with. Actually, and I can do you one better, actually, Dalton, because I don't know if you remember this, but this was like a good ways of us working into Depths. I think right as you were like starting to pack up to move to Green Bay, you found like a drawing that you had done when you were like 6 or 7 years old of a like underwater explorer in a diving suit. And it was like shockingly reminiscent of what Depths was. Is very Indiana Jones. It was like as written by like a 7-year-old, you know.
Cool.
So yeah, this is like clearly been on your mind.
Diving suits are cool.
Diving suits are cool. That's fair.
They're very cool. And then Wells, like you said, so Dalton brought this to you, and you read it, you wanted it, you knew what you wanted to do with it. What about that script that he gave you sort of clicked, and what was it the first thing that made you go, I can run with this? Like, what was that thing that sparked in your imagination to go, let's flesh this out?
It's the octopus.
Well, I mean, like, similarly, like, I was captivated by the setting, because I've always been like super enamored with the ocean and with ocean life. Like my earliest thing I wanted to be when I was a little kid was a marine biologist, specifically to study sharks, because I loved sharks, and
cool.
I still do. Sharks are great, and when I did like my first draft on it, I would send it back, and Dalton was like, "What is this obscure fucking shark that you put in here? Like, what is?" I'm like, "No, it's cool. They scavenge shipwrecks. It makes sense."
Sure.
He's like, "Okay, you weirdo, whatever."
Okay.
But no, so I was super into that, but also like he said, like it was one of those things. I read it and I was like, "This is about depression. Moreover, this is like a perfect metaphor for what depression is." And that's something I've struggled with my entire life. So I was like, I can sink my teeth into this hard. Like, I know who this I know who this man is, like deep down, and I know what his story is, and I can make it work. I can turn it into something really incredible. And I still feel that way, that we turned what started as a really cool idea into something that, like, you know, Eisner nominated is what I'm going to go for. I don't think it wins, but
Oh no, I think we have the daddy issues in the book to make it an Eisner nom. Like, there's tons of daddy issues in the book.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, on top of that, it's like the law. And although to answer more specifically, not that this gives us any information, it was the beginning of chapter 3 that made me go, "Oh, that's it. This is incredible." Which is a sequence where we learn what happened to Emil's father and how why he feels responsible for his dad's disappearance. And it's an incredible sequence. It's a really artistic sequence, and it's one that immediately made me go, "Yeah, this is going to be big."
Nice.
Yeah.
Smells like Eisner. Cool.
That's my deep down hope. Like it's completely like out of the realm of actual possibility, but it would be. I think it's
manifest.
Worthy. I think yeah. I'm doing the white people thing of manifesting my dreams.
Well, I mean, you know what? Besides an actual Eisner, because there's many of those given, there are others given out affiliated to for indie comics, for all sorts of interesting stuff. Yeah. So, you know what? We could definitely make sure this gets applied, because with the fun and weird and zany things that I've seen you guys create, taking a more serious introspective note could be very touching. And I will admit, when I believe it was Wells, when you messaged me, it was one of you messaged me, and you were like, "Hey, we have this book coming out. It's about this deep sea diver who gets pulled under and has to deal with depression and all this mental health stuff." I was like, that is a metaphor right there. Just like the weight of the sea crushing down on you.
Oh,
yeah,
it writes itself in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, like it's gonna hit hard, and the art on it is, like I said, it's dark. The way that your artist is using the minimal light source of Emil's light on his head, and then various shadows.
You should see the inked pages. It's black the entire it's so like dark ink all over the place, like very little actual light breaking through, and it works. It's so atmospheric, even in the black and white sense. Wow. It's definitely a book I would love to do. Like, here's the heavy metal version, the black and white. Yeah,
artist edition, man.
Artist edition, yeah.
Who knows? Maybe at the end of the second Kickstarter, that's what you'll end up doing. How did you choose your artist on this one?
We just have the privilege to work with a lot of artists, and through variant covers, through short stories and stuff. Jay had been on my radar for a long time, and as we were looking through, being like, who has a really solidly grounded style that would work really well with this concept. Of the artists that I kept throwing out, Jay was always like, and I mean, Jay's fantastic. Look at all this stuff that he did. So when he was on the top of my mind, I reached out to him, and he dug the project immediately. He understood it for what it was, and he was like, "This sounds like a ride or die project for you." I'm like, "It very much is. Like, this is the one that we kind of have to make." And he was like, "Good. That's the kind of stuff I want to be drawing." So yeah, it was a good match, I think. But as with a lot of things, it just kind of started with us trolling Twitter and seeing who needed work and who was available and who was good and who we thought would match the style.
Nice. And as I mentioned earlier, like the colors in it, because if Scheck's art and the inks are super heavy, just really brings out a lot of sort of depth, especially when it comes to making things look murky and weird, and that often, the effect of if something's far away underwater, it's basically nothing until it's a blob, and then it's right in your face. How did you find Rajesh? Was it sort of the same thing? Who was available, or did maybe
that was Jay's suggestion? That was
nice.
He was like, there's this colorist I work with. We have good chemistry together. If you guys want to use him, great. I was like, I had not thought of a colorist, so thank you. Colorists are I love and appreciate colorists. They are always the hardest part of the assembling the Avengers kind of process. They're always the ones we find last. But yeah,
they're the secret sauce.
They are.
That secret sauce is often very elusive.
It's your baseline, How do you find a good bassist? You don't look, it's hard to listen for it's hard to find them in other, comics because they're setting the tone. They're in the background. So it's hard to tell exactly how a colorist can bend their craft to match your book. So obviously you have to go off of references and other works and stuff and just try and hope and figure it out. But it is the most abstract process for sure. But we've had pretty good luck so far, I think.
I love it.
Yeah.
Then I think one other thing I want to ask is, and maybe it's too much spoiler territory, but can you give us an example of the first challenge that Emil faces once he's underwater? Because clearly the whole getting trapped underwater is the horrifying challenge, but what's the first thing he comes up against that he has to figure out or die?
You know what's funny? We don't say. It's like he's underwater and then we cut. We don't have this book is littered with flashbacks because you have to kind of know Emil as a person, and his family and his friends, all his relationships are established a lot through flashbacks, but all of those are above water. I don't think we have a single flashback of his time from getting stranded to today, which when I say it out loud sounds weird, but all of that, all the interesting stuff is happening now. I would imagine the first thing he had to do is just find a place to
find shelter
down.
Yeah,
because he's out in open water. When he gets stranded, he's out in open water. He's just easy pickings right there. So finding shelter, finding a good place to find food, those are probably the two biggest challenges for him. Also not hyperventilating underwater. Yeah, and
then figuring out how to keep sane, which is something we do refer to as him being I don't know what a day is. It doesn't get brighter and then darker down here. It just stays the same. I'm guessing it's been about 3 years, but I don't know. So him trying to just
do migrations and stuff. I mean, and also that first year is also a lot of him under the delusion that he can find his way home. Him trying to figure out how to get home, and then at some point he's just well, either they're coming for me or they're not. Yeah.
One thing that while you guys were sort of describing all of that, I was like, man, he's got to sleep. He's human. He has to sleep down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a world where your most feared thing that can happen to you is a puncture, and that you would have to be kind of awake for. So trying to figure out, where you're going to sleep, where you're going to keep yourself safe, how you can protect yourself and
avoid the coral
and avoid things that can very easily fill you up like a balloon. And
so then I guess the important question, my idea of a 1930s deep sea scuba diver, right? I get the picture of the big cast iron, I think it's actually copper, but the thing with the glass front, the big tube up the top so the guy can breathe. Obviously Emil's navigated around that, but then they usually have these big iron boots. So I imagine Emil's gear is similar to that. Can you describe his outfit?
Oh, it's so fashionable. No, it's, no, you're right. It's heavy. It is like, and not only is like the suit itself heavy, but just walking underwater is exhausting.
Yeah.
Like the dude's days are probably 5-hour days, and then he's got to go sleep. Like it's so tiring to walk underwater. But like his suit comes equipped with like, you know, he's got the heavy boots to kind of keep him grounded, to keep him as a diver, and he's got. I believe the suit initially comes with a knife. What do they call those?
Sidearm? I don't know.
Well, yeah,
a knife.
What the sword goes in? The scabbard.
A sheath.
Yeah,
Scabbard,
sheath. Yeah. He's got a scabbard for a knife that he loses immediately, and then he's got a little pack on his side that is the food processor, so you can put the fish in, grinds it up, and then a tube goes all the way up through, and he can drink the paste.
Which we mercifully, I don't think, ever show.
We don't show that.
Sort of the
we show him putting it in the pack, and that's about it.
That's sort of the implication. And then he has like
a big tank on the back,
sort of like what astronauts wear on their back, that big square.
Okay,
module.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that it runs. It like similar to a submarine, it runs a current that separates the hydrogen from the oxygen, and that creates a breathable atmosphere for him.
Mm-hmm.
Sick. And then, of course, he's spewing hydrogen out somewhere.
Yeah, and then you have this constant stream of bubbles for his carbon dioxide and hydrogen that's leaving the pack. Yeah,
and then there's a filtration unit on the back for waste, and that.
Oh, I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Guys.
It is a perpetual diving suit. Like it has to account for all of your gross body functions.
Again, stuff that we don't go into too heavy of detail on or show the process of.
I'm sure eventually he's going to suffocate on his own beard, but
no, I don't think. Although it would you would shed, and so I imagine by the time he gets out, there's just
gross.
Again, there are things that mercifully we can just handle.
Good.
We don't have to talk about.
Good. Yeah, no, let's not, because some questions popped into my head, and I was like, no, don't ask that.
Fingernails will eventually get so long they pop outside the end of the hands, right? The gloves.
No, it wouldn't pierce. It would.
Wouldn't they? Yeah, they would like curl beard, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, they would curl.
Yeah.
Okay, this is just sounding more horrible as we go on.
It's not something you want to happen.
No. Jesus. Okay. God.
3 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
So, to get away from that nastiness, like you said, this is the first half of the story. I'm looking at the Kickstarter now. There's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 pages done, colored, inked, lettered, everything. What stage of completion is the book in?
That what you're see looking is what is available. It's like purely as a logistical thing. The reason we're on Kickstarter is because we don't have the funds to make this massive endeavor as much as we would love to. If we could just release it into the world for free, excellent, great. We would love to be able to do that, but the reason why it's on Kickstarter, the reason why it's a $20,000 goal is because that's the money that we need to make it a reality. Which is hard, but I think we can do it, and we put a little bit of our own money into it just to show you what it's going to look like, what our vision for it is. But yeah, it's going to take a little while to actually make and to get out there, which is a big leap of faith we're asking people to take. Is like, hey, this is gonna take a little bit, but our estimated completion is August of next year or something. But yeah, we have the reason why
you've got a good track record here.
Yeah, that's the reason. That's one of the big reasons why we wanted to do Mechaton and Frankenstein the Unconquered first. We have 7 issues that we have 5 issues that have gone out into the world. 3 of Mechaton, 2 of Frankenstein the Unconquered. We're working on Mechaton 4 and 5 right now. Those are well on their way to being produced. People know that when they back our product or they back our Kickstarters, they're going to get a book at the end of it. So we're just asking people to have that faith in us once again, and be a little bit more patient with the fact that we're not doing a 20-page book, we're doing a 112-page book.
And I mean, I guess the good news too is if they and they should do the get everything. They should get your catalog, because probably in the time that they get Frankenstein Unconquered, they get Mechaton, they can enjoy those, read them, and then, I mean, depending on how fast they read and how quick they want to dive through all your stuff, but that would give that time to basically get this book made. Now, this is a huge project. Like, that's a lot of pages. Do you have, and I appreciate the schedule there could change a lot, but if all went well, so you got the 20 grand, you throw however much money it is to your artist, your colorist, your letterer, roughly when would the book be completed and released digitally? And then when, I'm guessing a month later, would be the printable.
Yeah.
So, like, what's your rough timeline for book complete?
That is a really challenging thing to estimate. Simply because 22 pages or 20 pages, an artist can hammer out, in a couple weeks if that's the only thing they're working on, and they're really, but like 100, once you get to a certain point, it is just a marathon and you have to pace yourself. We put a really conservative estimate on there of, or maybe I don't know. We put a very generous estimate, I should say, of like a full like year and some change to get the thing out there and made. We think realistically, Jay's gonna have it finished, like the ink's finished in about 6-ish months. We're gonna try and work as concurrently as we can with with colors and then with letters. Like, so we're not waiting for all the inks to be done before we start coloring, and same with the letters. That said, we don't want to promise like that it'll be done by the end of this year, and then it's not, and we have to kind of string people along for a little while. So I think if everything goes smoothly, and nothing ever goes smoothly, but if everything goes smoothly, then I think by the end of the year, we could technically have the book out digitally. I think more. I think more realistically.
Let's say summer next year.
I think more realistically, it's going to be like spring. Sometime spring we get it out digitally. Maybe summer we get it out digitally, and then about a month, 6 weeks after that, depending on again how long the printer takes and how long shipping takes to get to us. But when we get it, it takes us about like the latest a package goes out is about a week after we actually get the stuff to us. So we start working on fulfillment and shipping right away, and don't stop until it's done, which is exhausting.
It's one thing that, and again, like we have talked about this before, but for the folks out there, there is the job of writing, editing, revisioning, re-revisioning, rewriting, revisiting until you have a finished script. Then there's the job of somehow getting the money, like you're doing now, to pay your artists.
Marketing, social media management, promotion.
Like it's
never one thing.
Like making the comic. Making the comic, full-time job. Marketing, promoting the comic, full-time job, and then shipping the comic, full-time job. That's 3 jobs. Like, damn, there's a reason DC is a giant company with hundreds and hundreds of people that, probably thousands, let's be honest, that do this. But that's fantastic. And I agree. I think, like, in a project this big and this ambitious that looks as good as it does, I think having it done in next summertime-ish, which would be like 13 months or so, 14-ish, that's fair. That's awesome. And like I said, people can get tons of your other work in the meantime. I imagine you'll be running other Kickstarters too. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely we will.
We for sure have another Frankenstein coming out this year. So you'll get 2 other issues of Frankenstein.
Probably.
You may even get those before Depths.
It's possible. It's very possible.
Nice. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I forget. Go on.
Okay. We are approaching sort of the end of the hour, and I don't want to keep you longer than I need to. I do like to ask, though, what's been so far for both of you your favorite part of making Depths?
Ooh.
I love this already.
Favorite part of making Depths? I mean, honestly, just seeing it actually happen after all this time has been so gratifying and surreal. Like we've been sitting on this thing for so long, and I mean, writing it was, well, fun's not the right word, but writing it was a challenge, and it provided a ton of gratification when we finally got to the ending and we were like, oh, this is the story.
Yeah.
But then we had to shelve it. We had to. Mm-hmm. And so to see it actually in the world, like Depths is a thing that you can see with your eyes and click on it and pledge to, and it'll be a book on your shelf in like a year and a half. Like, to me, that is the coolest part, is seeing something that has been an idea for so long finally be a thing. Because even Frankenstein, from conception to publication, was relatively pretty quick. Like,
yeah, you guys have been flying.
Depths has been like saturated in waiting, and it's for sure. So that's my favorite part, is seeing those pages come in, seeing actually like reading a comic page of it. And
that's got to be trippy
for sure. Oh, for sure. It's always a very surreal experience, like getting a page of something that you've been sitting on for a little while. Because even when it goes quickly, just kind of the nightmare of publication and making creative stuff in general. Like, you're very often, have a script and then you're not actually going to see it made in its entirety for like, a year or so, or even longer after you've done it, even in really quick turnaround scenarios. So it's always surreal getting those pages and being like, oh, this is it. Oh, hell yeah. That it works. The thing that I had in my head put together, and it works.
And then sometimes you look at it and go, oh, wow, no, that's too many words. What have I done?
And that's why we edit. That's why we have, no, for me, it's the thing that's excited me is just the opportunity to tell a story that is a lot more vulnerable, a lot more personal. I think that like Mechaton and Frankenstein have very important things to say. This to me feels like, something that's going to resonate with people in a way that isn't just like, oh, that's a fun background detail, or that works, really well when you think about it hard. It's like the thing that makes a story work is the thing that's going to make people go, oh, I get that. I can relate to that, or this helped me kind of overcome this thing. At least that is always my hope, is that in some way people will read the story and go, this helped me. And probably the most rewarding thing about writing Mechaton so far has been exactly that. I have a friend who's a teacher who shares it with her kids, and I'm constantly getting updates like, this kid that has a hard time, talking to people and expressing himself has just been like drawing the glove and the monsters in Fernando's style, and trying to like become an artist because of this book. And I'm like, okay, well, that's the coolest thing that's ever happened to me.
Damn.
So I'm always looking forward to that, and I think that this book is made packaged for that. Just like, someone needs to read this, and I want to deliver it to them.
That's so damn cool. Congrats. Like, to have that kind of impact on people, that's important. Like, even if it is, it's not like this book where it's very much so face forward, going to be a more mature adult conversation. Like, Mechaton, very loud, very colorful, very fun, but like, you're getting people to open up and to learn and to have that drive. Congratulations to both of you, because that's amazing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you. It means a lot.
So we've got like a couple minutes left.
Sure.
I guess. You know what? I appreciate you're both very busy with massive amounts of creating and campaigning and talking to people like myself.
We do have 3 podcasts today, so
okay.
Never again.
No, that's a lot. Holy cow. You're not late, are you?
No.
Cool. Okay. Then I guess if you have been, what have you been entertainment-wise, I'll say ingesting. I won't say reading, because I know that takes longer. Whether it's a podcast, a TV show, a comic book, a prose book. What's been like helping you not work?
Well, what's fantastic, I moved to Chicago at the beginning of the year, and one of the best like quality of life improvements that's happened is that I don't drive anywhere except for like the grocery store once a week. So there's a train very close to my house. I can take it all the way to work, and for that 30 minutes, I don't have anything to do except read, and it's great. So I have gotten through more books in this like 4-month period of living here than I have in the last like 3 years.
Damn.
So yeah, most recently I read Plume by Kaylin Smith, who is so good it makes me physically upset. She's such a fucking talented artist and storyteller. It's infuriating. Yeah, that one's like a Western guardian angel story / revenge tale that goes to some really interesting places and has some incredibly charming characters. Most recently, I've been reading The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green, which is a really good book in the style of like doing reviews for mundane things, and it's surprisingly really affecting me and really beautiful and well done in a lot of ways. Let's see, and then I'm playing Demon Souls and the RE4 remake right now. When I have time and me and my wife are together, she likes to watch me play games, so that's what I've been doing there. What else? We're watching Barry. We're watching Barry on HBO. It's Bill Hader's. Yeah, Bill Hader made a dark comedy series called Barry, and it's fucking astounding. It's so good. It's my favorite show on television.
All right, I'll have to check that out.
You should.
Dig it. And Dalton, what about you? What do you do to decompress and not think about extremely depressed and life-threatened sailors and giant mechs?
You can do that?
Oddly,
decompression?
No.
My life is just fitting myself into a tiny ball and then putting that away. Just letting it sit there.
My obsession for this year has been Star Trek so far.
Okay.
So earlier this year I burned through the original series, and that I love that show so much. But now I'm on to Star Trek the animated series from the early 70s, and it's something.
That's accurate.
I like it, but I don't love it because that you get to hear the characters. You get to hear Bill Shatner, but you don't get to see his animated character do the Shatner stuff. That makes
weird.
That character because it's Filmation from 1973, so it's always a stilted profile shot, and he's just talking like this over and like you don't get to really see him animate. It's not good animation, and but it's still the great Star Trek plots and the great Star Trek cast. It's just it and the medium of animation means you get to see all sorts of alien planets and other aliens that they never could have done in live action. So it's cool in that regard, but it's just a weird show, and it only lasted like 20 episodes. So I'm in the midst of that, and Star Trek always inspires me, so that's what's great about it. No matter what it's doing, it's inspiring. But I also when I'm not either looking at campaigns or writing, I'm working on other projects where I'm actually like drawing myself. Like so, I've started working on. Actually, I've got it here. Wells, you'll appreciate this.
Yes, I will.
How ridiculous is this?
No. I've been working on a new strip. Bryson Wesley.
Oh hell yeah!
So I drew a little lizard guy up in there.
Yeah,
you can see I've got some cutouts for when somebody screams. But yeah, I'm kind of drawing myself. Doing. I've always wanted to do Bryson Wesley, so now I'm like sitting down, and it's a way to kind of end of the day I can just kind of draw and practice and get a little better, and that way I don't have to go to Kickstarter for everything. I can just make a comic book.
Absolutely. Question. So is that purely just for you having fun, or is that like we're going to see that in a newspaper or in a collected edition?
No, I mean, you're going to see it. No, for sure. It's I've been sitting on Bryson Wesley way too long. Calvin and Hobbes meets Indiana Jones. That's the pitch. So
Sick.
like, it's all ages through and through, and ridiculous shit. Like this first strip, they meet a talking dodo, and it's in the middle of like a Cold War. So like, it's just ridiculous. Anything can happen. And yeah, so I'm gonna try and color. I'm colorblind, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, you probably should leave it black and white. I'm gonna be real with you.
Yeah, and well, no, I'm gonna try it, and if it doesn't work, I'll just keep it with the inks. But
if I might suggest, scan it to color it digitally.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool.
Sure.
Then yeah, you're
I'm
fine.
not gonna. I will letter on those boards all day, but I'm not putting any colors on that board. Yeah.
Amazing. Then I guess you know what, to end off the interview the same as I like to always. Dalton, Wells, what do you want the folks out there to know?
Go back depths. It's on Kickstarter. Just go. Links in the thing, like you said. Go back depths.
Believe in yourself because Douglas believes in you. Yeah, and also go back depths.
Perfect. Finally, I've been asking that question for a long time. I have always gotten like some seriously introspective, heart-wrenching, heartwarming stuff from literally everyone, yourselves included, last time. So it's nice to have someone actually be like, back my book.
Yeah, go back my book.
Yeah, links down below, people. Guys, again, thanks so much for taking the time to come on the show today.
Thanks for having us. It's always a blast coming on.
Yeah, this is always one that we look forward to. So
thank you kindly. And for the folks out there, again, links down below. Go back the campaign. You're going to get an amazing book. You will get a whole bunch of digital copies of other amazing books that are violent, flashy, interesting, but also have some thought behind them. Like, comment down below what you thought of these two, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Golden age to present, digest to oversize. Never miss new comic day. Yeah, no surprise. So where's my no prize? Check the letter columns. Can't find issue 2? Yeah. Collector problems, cliffhangers, mysteries. You need answers. When did Batman become Green Lantern? I get it. True believer, not lying. Always up for an awesome summer crossover tie-in. High flying, full color or black and white. Splash pages, flashbacks. Whet your appetite with new costumes, team ups, first loves, first appearances.